Happy Saturday morning, everybody. How are you doing? It's a Super Bowl Sunday weekend, and the 49ers aren't playing, and Trey Lance isn't happy about it. I just saw an interview that he did, I believe, with Rich Eisen yesterday. And Rich Eisen asked him, "You hosting a Super Bowl party?" And Trey Lance said, "Nope, no party. We're supposed to be there." And the 49ers aren't. So, how do they fix that? Well, they continue following their long term plan moving forward, see if they could sustain the current strong roster that they have and move into the future with presumably Lance under center. It's the State of the 49ers QB edition show. The article from Matt Barrows and me came out the other day. You could see it on The Athletic. It is just to my left up on the screen. I'm going to copy and paste the link into the chat window so you can go ahead and subscribe. And if you're going to go ahead and subscribe to The Athletic, well, you better be subscribed to this channel because we're about to go through some of the issues and some of the conversation points surrounding the 49ers quarterback position that seem to have taken social media by storm. Tom Brady's name is involved. Joe Montana's name is involved. Because Joe Montana's name is involved, some people talk about Steve Young. And of course, Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance are both in the center of the discussion. So what has promised to be a wacky 49ers offseason certainly is a wacky 49ers offseason already. And we're here to make sense of it. We're here to talk through all of it. So prepare your questions. I'm going to go through a few points, and then I'm going to try to answer some questions before the end of this video. But be sure to subscribe to both this channel as we go deep into the 49ers offseason, and of course, to The Athletic, to the piece that you see up on the screen. And I will also put that link into the comment section as soon as this video is done. The big topic of the week seems to be Trey Lance's readiness. We can go to Joe Montana's comments and thank him for that. But I mean, Joe Montana wasn't even speaking, I thought, too seriously. If you actually watch what's going on in context, he was talking to Kevin Clark from The Ringer. It's Super Bowl Radio Row week, so that means that you're going to have current and former players alike making the rounds. You'll have way more quotes than you usually do just because the Super Bowl is the media event of the year. And you're going to have opinions and you're going to have clickbait and you're going to have clickbait made of some of those opinions. And when I hear Joe Montana actually say what he did instead of just looking at headlines, I'm like, well, what's even the news here? The readiness of Trey Lance and the fact that he may not be fully ready right now is not some sort of novel or controversial idea. The guy played at North Dakota State, an FCS school. It's been nearly 3 years or 3 seasons since he's played, extended action of football, and he had 318 pass attempts at the FCS level. He had 2 games for the 49ers, maybe 2.5 if you're going to give him that half against Seattle, in which he was thrown in there with the Sharks. But he played 2 games in his rookie season. So you add those attempts onto the 318 he had in college, and anybody who can add 1 + 1 and have it equal 2 in their head would say that he may not be ready. And that's okay. If Trey Lance were fully ready, he would have started over an injured Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs because Jimmy had a torn ligament in his thumb, and then he also had a sprained shoulder that he was dealing with. But no, the 49ers' most efficient and best option clearly in the 2021 season, and anyone who knows football, anyone who's followed this will tell you that this was the case from the start, from training camp back to OTAs, back to the draft. The best option this year for the 49ers to win was Jimmy Garoppolo. Case settled. Now, they were operating with dueling tracks at the quarterback position, and the hope was, and it's a hope that better pan out for the 49ers because they invested so much in trading up to draft Trey Lance. The hope is that this guy who's so raw but so talented, obviously physically more imposing than Garoppolo, faster than Garoppolo, bigger arm than Garoppolo, the hope is that he can harness all of that and become the better quarterback in the future. Somebody that Kyle Shanahan can turn to for the next 10 to 15 years, win at least a couple championships with, become Kyle's Steve Young or Kyle's John Elway. Those are both Hall of Famers. Is that, a lofty expectation? Yes, but you don't trade all that the 49ers did for Trey Lance to get a guy with a low ceiling, and that would have been Mac Jones. The highest ceiling is Trey Lance, the highest of all the ceilings of those quarterbacks in this past draft, because of his background and his propensity and his ability, I guess I should say is a better word, his ability to execute some of the play action concepts and under center concepts that Kyle Shanahan had already incorporated in his offense, and to add mobility to those. This is the 21st century. The 21st century quarterback can do seismic things with both his arm and with his legs. And Kyle Shanahan wanted to be on board with that moving into the next 10 to 15 years. To do that, he said, I want moldable clay. I don't want somebody who's a finished product coming out of college, because I have a good quarterback right now under contract in Jimmy Garoppolo. I can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what Kyle Shanahan said. I can trust him to win football games and guide this team to the Super Bowl or all the way to the NFC Championship game. And at the same time, I can shoot for the stars with Trey Lance. Now, because he's shooting for the stars, because he's getting moldable clay out of North Dakota State, that guy may not be ready right away. He may not be ready after a year, but the 49ers certainly hope he's ready after a year, because their larger plan is one of financial sustainability. A quarterback on a rookie deal cap hit allows the 49ers to extend their window of Super Bowl roster viability. This is the ultimate key. You look at the 49ers salary cap situation right now, they're $5 million over. They have to trim fat before the start of the new league year on March 16th, which is just about a month away. The 49ers played a salary cap tap dance in 2021 by signing a bunch of veteran salary exceptions. It's the way to kind of subvert the cap and one-year deals and, backloading some of their longer contracts. And they did the limbo. They went backwards. They did the limbo to get under the salary cap and somehow field a team in a win-now season. And they did a lot of winning in that win-now season. They were just short of making it to the Super Bowl. So now you look at, what do the 49ers do next? Well, you move into 2022. As I said, they're now a little bit over that salary cap. The cap might explode in 2023, but there's no guarantee. It's likely to keep on going up, and it might really, really go up. So you're taking it a year at a time if you're the 49ers, and you're trying to build that roster viability through dancing around the salary cap, through cutting costs in certain areas, through retaining veterans in other areas, while maintaining a good roster. So you dance around the salary cap, maintain a Super Bowl capable roster. Well, the way to do that in this modern league is to get your money's worth from a quarterback on a rookie deal. So that was the idea when they drafted Trey Lance. They knew that he wasn't going to be ready in year one, but if they could possibly get him ready by year two, they'd be able to recoup some draft capital by trading Garoppolo, and then they'd be able to have Lance and his, $6 or $7 million cap hit this year instead of a $27 million cap hit for Jimmy Garoppolo. $20 million would open up in a time where the 49ers are extremely tight on space, and they'd be able to fortify the roster around Trey Lance and hopefully make a run toward the Super Bowl. So the question that we face now is, can Trey Lance perform efficiently enough to guide the 49ers to true Super Bowl contention with the added boost of having about $20 million worth of investments around him that the 49ers would not have had or will not have if they decide to keep Garoppolo? When we talk about Garoppolo, the Garoppolo wars have long been settled. He's a good quarterback, and he had a good year. But the 49ers' plan was ultimately contingent on how Trey Lance develops and performs, period. All this Tom Brady stuff, noise. All of this Aaron Rodgers stuff, absolute noise. Trey Lance is the 49ers' long-term plan, and if they buckle and they stray away from that for whatever reason to bring in a veteran for one more year, well, then the financial sustainability of that long-term plan has been compromised because, again, a quarterback on a rookie deal cap hit allows the 49ers to extend their window of Super Bowl roster vitality. So if you go out and you lure Tom Brady out of retirement, or you somehow trade for Aaron Rodgers, and even if you lure Tom Brady out of retirement, you're going to have to trade for him, right? So even if you do some of that stuff, you're going to be spending such a significant amount of capital that you outweigh this, you outweigh the benefits of having a rookie deal cap hit at quarterback. The reason that you invested so much draft capital in Trey Lance is because you thought he could give you the best of both worlds. You thought that he was moldable clay that could give you that new offensive ceiling and that could guide a roster insulated by extra money because he's still on a rookie deal to the promised land. And you have a window, you have a finite window to do this. Now, Trey, again, he wasn't ready the first year. Everybody expected that. Everybody that knew something expected that. Not everybody, but everybody that knew something expected him to not be ready this year. But this offseason is going to be critical for Trey Lance. And it's not surprising to me that Joe Montana might think that he's not ready yet. I don't think that Trey Lance, if the season started today, would be ready yet. But that is completely irrelevant. We have what? It's February 12th. We have 7 months until the 49ers kick off the 2022 regular season. Trey Lance is going to get his most extensive communication with Kyle Shanahan in these 7 months that he has, because the 49ers, last year, they got him later in the process, right? It took them a while to draft him. And then they obviously were focusing on winning in 2021. So Trey Lance had to go through the crash course in the scout team. Now he's going to get the full attention from the 49ers over the course of this entire offseason. He's going to get OTAs. He's going to get training camp. And he's going to have a chance to do that all with the experience imparted on him by his rookie year of 2021. He knows how the NFL works now. He's not a complete fish out of water. The 49ers can thank their team structure for that. They can thank the fact they had a year of runway for Trey Lance. They didn't have to throw him to the wolves right away. And obviously they can thank Jimmy Garoppolo for that, for being the mentor that they needed him to be. So when you talk about Joe Montana's comments, yeah, in the here and now, he flippantly said that Trey Lance might not be ready and the 49ers should have a contingency until he is. That's actually smart, because the 49ers still have an offseason that's the most critical one that there is, that second sophomore offseason for Trey Lance, to get him ready. So what Joe Montana says about Trey Lance right now has nothing to do with where Trey Lance might be in 7 months at the start of this season. And Joe Montana left plenty of window open for qualification and change in his comment. It wasn't this black and white comment. I mean, he said until Trey's ready, like this is something that the 49ers need to have a contingency plan for. On a larger picture, too, whenever you hear Joe Montana or Steve Young talk about the 49ers quarterback situation, you have to take into account their own personal experience. We all have our own personal biases depending on our prior experiences. Joe Montana staved off Steve Young, the young buck, the mobile, Joe Montana was mobile too. I mean, sprint right option is the most iconic play probably in NFL history, at least in 49ers history. Joe Montana could move as well, but Steve Young revolutionized the position with his legs. But it was Joe Montana who held him off for several years and won a couple Super Bowls. Of course, he's going to be sympathetic to a successful incumbent quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. And of course, Steve Young, who clamored and suffered for the opportunity to play for so many years behind Joe Montana, of course, he's going to be sympathetic to the younger quarterback who's currently on the bench. That's 1 + 1 = 2 kind of stuff. All of this to me is 1 + 1 = 2 kind of stuff that is all very, very overcomplicated by people because I don't know if they want drama, they want chaos, whatever. But I mean, let's keep it in simple terms. Tom Brady is retired right now. And so much of the 49ers quarterback discourse is about Tom Brady and even, tangentially Aaron Rodgers. Again, Brady's retired. His rights are controlled by Tampa Bay. Rodgers is not retired, but his rights are controlled by Green Bay. So the 49ers would have to trade draft capital that, I guess they could trade future draft capital or some lower round picks. But remember, they traded first round picks to get Trey Lance. So they would have to expend draft capital just to get rights to a player who would be so expensive financially that they wouldn't be able to execute their plan of roster viability with a quarterback on a rookie deal. So much of this is noise, but I shouldn't even have to get into the financials of it. If Brady's retired, why are we having this conversation right now? And I'm going to take his name off the screen as soon as I make this point because it's absolutely ridiculous. Once Tom Brady says he doesn't want to be retired anymore, maybe we could start talking about this. But the fact that he's retired means that, okay, why aren't we talking about Joe Montana coming out of retirement? Why aren't we talking about Steve Young coming out of retirement? I mean, the guy doesn't want to play right now. If the guy doesn't want to play, then so be it. If Brady wanted to play, he could come out and say, I want to play and I want to play for the 49ers. Trade me. Let's work it out. Not everything is this conspiracy. Not everything is this, oh, there's something going on that we don't know about. That's why people were wrong so many times about the 49ers quarterback situation. You followed the money throughout the course of this 2021 year, and you knew that the 49ers were planning to start Jimmy Garoppolo. If you follow the money now, you know that it's very likely that they trade Jimmy Garoppolo. If the 49ers had gone to the Super Bowl, and especially if they had won the Super Bowl, it would have been politically impossible or close to it, very unfeasible, let's put it that way, to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. As it stands, he's still extremely popular in the 49ers locker room, but also as it stands, the 49ers are following their plan, which I've been telling you guys for the whole year, like the whole calendar year, going even back to the last January. I thought the 49ers were going to draft the rookie. I recommended Trey Lance. I didn't know it was going to be Trey Lance, but I recommended Trey Lance in January because I thought they should have some competition in the room. I thought they should have health insulation in the room. And I thought that they should start thinking about this right here. A QB on a rookie cap hit allows the 49ers to extend their window of Super Bowl roster viability. But at the same time, I also recognized that Jimmy Garoppolo was a good quarterback that could get the job done now. The problem is the first line of our article right now, right here. This is the question that most people are posing on Twitter. Is Jimmy Garoppolo terrific or is he trash? People can't see the in-between. People can't see that he's a good quarterback with some flaws, namely the fact that the mobility isn't what the Kyle Shanahan wants in the 21st century. He wants some better mobility out of the quarterback position that he can harness for more off-schedule plays, and the fact that he gets hurt a lot. He has gotten hurt a lot, but he's still a good quarterback. He's still a quarterback that has been capable of, in his 2 full seasons, leading the 49ers to at least the NFC Championship game and then to the Super Bowl. So multiple things can coexist at once. That makes this probably a little too complex for the world of social media, but this is the truth. What's written down at the bottom of the screen. The nuances of the cap situation and a quarterback on a rookie deal and somebody who Kyle Shanahan can mold moving forward, that is what gives the 49ers power as they proceed into the future and try to maintain an impressive roster that they have built. All right, time to open it up for questions. Let's take a look. I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And let's see. Daniel K. Do you think the 49ers overpaid for Lance considering Mac Jones was there later in the draft and is a solid player? No, absolutely not. Mac Jones, he's a solid player. Mediocre efficiency is right in the middle of the pack of NFL quarterbacks. Again, they traded for ceiling. Mac Jones doesn't have a very high ceiling. Mac Jones may have a high floor, but he doesn't have a very high ceiling, and you're not moving the needle. Jimmy Garoppolo was more efficient than Mac Jones this year. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is a much more experienced veteran than Mac Jones. I think in some ways, with the release, Jimmy Garoppolo probably is a little bit more physically capable than Mac Jones, who obviously isn't a physical specimen of any sort. You hope that you can coach Mac Jones up within the scheme of your system to execute that system at a high level. Jury is still out if he's going to execute these systems at the highest of levels. But, Jones had a good rookie season for the Patriots. It wasn't good enough to prevent them from getting blown out in the playoffs by the Buffalo Bills. The reason the 49ers traded up a significant amount of capital for Trey Lance is because they didn't think that the status quo, just getting an executor like Mac Jones into the offense, they didn't think that status quo was going to do the trick. They thought that they needed more. And I always hate when my conference room lights turn off. So I think I should probably go turn them on. They don't see me. Whatever. The lighting seems okay, doesn't it? Yeah. I was sitting out by the pool yesterday, so I got a little bit of a tan. So we'll keep the conference room lights off. It's fine. It's Saturday morning. It's a sunny Saturday morning. So the sun's coming in there through the window. But anyway, you want the ceiling in the quarterback room. You're working for ceiling when you get Trey Lance. And then you have to let him reach that ceiling by developing him. So I don't think that the 49ers overpaid at all. And anybody who thinks that they needed starter return on investment in year one just doesn't understand how the 49ers were thinking. And they made it clear how they were thinking throughout this whole process. Should Jimmy Garoppolo take a pay cut and come back to the 49ers? Well, I think that he doesn't have to take a pay cut because somewhere else will pay him to be their starting quarterback. So I don't think that would be a good decision from Jimmy Garoppolo's point of view. Maybe a place where the system is a little bit more favorable to Jimmy Garoppolo, because you remember how much his style of play changed over his time with the 49ers. When in 2017, Jimmy was running around, improvising, throwing further downfield than he was earlier. And Shanahan really wanted that structured yards after the catch based offense, which probably was good for the 49ers offensive consistency. It obviously fit the weapons that they had, but I think that there was something left on the table as far as Garoppolo's freewheeling talents. And I think that he does have some of those. He may not be a mobile quarterback per se, but I think that in 2017, we saw some of that from Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think he still moves decently well. I just think that within the structure of the offense, the 49ers don't want him running around. A lot of people say that he's completely different following the ACL tear. Maybe in 2017, I buy that. But I think that, I think there have been plays that have shown that he still does have some of that mobility. So I wouldn't, say and go out on a limb that, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be so much better off in Shanahan's system that he needs to take a pay cut and stay there. Let's just see how the market shakes out for him, because there's going to be several teams, I think, that will be interested in his services. Do you believe wherever Jimmy lands, does he have a chance not only to win a Super Bowl, but can rewrite the narrative set on him? Well, I don't really know what the narrative on Jimmy Garoppolo is, first of all. I think that there's a lot of debate about Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that there are a lot of people that see him as a winner, and there's a lot of people that think he's terrible. And I think it's hard to find people like me who actually, kind of put it as it is. I'm in the gray area on Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's facilitated a lot of wins. I think he's done a good job adapting and executing Kyle Shanahan's offense. And I think that there is still some untapped potential there that the 49ers, in all likelihood, will be able to, find in trade value at this point, because they do have Trey Lance on the roster. And I'm excited to see, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo can stay healthy, I'm excited to see what exactly he can do in another system. So, the narrative around him is confusing because people are just so tribalistic about it. So it just depends on who you talk to. But once the dust settles, once he plays for another team, maybe wins something with another team, maybe that will become more clear cut, and maybe we'll have more perspective. But that's all that I can say about that right now. Do the 49ers pick up a mid to late round quarterback with draft picks just in case Trey Lance gets hurt? They could do that. I mean, if you remember the Washington team with Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan, they drafted RG3, and then later in the same draft, they picked up Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins ended up having the better career than Robert Griffin III. The 49ers could go the draft route to insulate the quarterback position, or they could go the free agent route, because Trey is 21 right now. He's the youngest quarterback in the NFL. He'll be 22 next season. But I think the 49ers will see value in maintaining the veteran presence in the room. Just the other day when Trey Lance was talking to Rich Eisen, obviously he's been so complimentary of what Jimmy Garoppolo has done for him as far as a mentor goes. But he also said that Nate Sudfeld was huge for him. And Sudfeld's a veteran as far as understanding how the business side of the NFL works. What players are going to be here next year, what players aren't, contracts, all this and all that. Trey's still young. Trey's still soaking up information. So I think instead of putting another rookie into the room with him, I think you'd rather have another veteran in the room with him. So I think of a player like Tyrod Taylor, who obviously has mobility, who's 33 years old, I think, next season. That could be a good one to pair with Trey Lance. Shanahan has said he wants quarterbacks with similar skill sets in that room. This year was exceptional, obviously, because Jimmy Garoppolo was QB1. Who knows what's going to happen here in the future, but it certainly seems like Trey Lance is going to be in that chair. So if that's the case and you want to unify the room skill set wise, maybe a guy like Tyrod Taylor does make sense. I'm sure that there are. I'm sure that there are players, especially older players on the roster. And the light just came back on, which is crazy. I kind of liked it with the light off. I thought the lighting was better when it was off. I think that fluorescent light doesn't do the trick. By the way, while I'm off on a tangent, I hope that you guys saw Lunch with Lombardi yesterday. I had the best sandwich in the Bay Area. So subscribe to the channel. we're branching out into on-location shooting and talking about the 49ers. The last 3 days, I've gotten 2 of the best sandwiches in the Bay Area. They've been on the show. So we're combining food and culture with sports. That's the MO here because it's bigger than football, right? This is bigger than football. This is about eating as well. So subscribe to the channel. Go check that out. I promise if you do subscribe, I'm going to work on this lighting situation because I think it's worse when the lights are on than when they're off. That's why we do late night Lombardi. Less lighting. It's better. So sets a better mood for the show. Anyway, do you think there are players on the roster that would prefer for Jimmy to come back as the starter over Lance? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but you have a certain sense of certainty. You know that Jimmy Garoppolo is good and efficient enough to take the 49ers to the Super Bowl and even win the Super Bowl. I mean, this whole narrative of, you need a little extra from your quarterback. You need a little extra from the whole team against Kansas City or against the Rams. You win as a team and you lose as a team, with quarterback being the most important position. And Garoppolo has been good enough to put the 49ers in position to pounce and grab that trophy. And it's sports. It didn't work out for them in those 2 chances. They're 0 for 2 in those 2 chances. It happens. But there is a level of certainty if Garoppolo can stay healthy about what the 49ers can accomplish. And I guarantee you, both the 2019 and the 2021 teams, there's a locker room full of guys kicking themselves for missing an opportunity, saying that if I would have converted on that opportunity, we would be Super Bowl champions. And they're not sitting there saying, oh, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't good enough to lead us all the way. You know, it's a team sport. Garoppolo has, proven his mettle. He's earned the respect of the 49ers locker room, and I guarantee you that there are some veterans who would like that certainty because careers, they have finite length. Now, it's Shanahan's job as the CEO to think about the long term, about the salary cap ramifications, about maintaining a roster that's financially viable, and about, from a play caller's perspective, molding the clay of a quarterback who has that 21st century mobility and that rocket arm into the framework of his offense. And Kyle Shanahan's attempt at an answer to that question is Trey Lance. But at the end of the day, this is all going to come down to how Trey Lance develops and performs, period. The 49ers plan was always ultimately contingent on how Trey Lance develops and performs, and that has not changed. No matter how much noise you hear about Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Garoppolo potentially staying for another year. I mean, of course, you can't rule anything out with 100% absolute certainty, but you can be intelligent about analyzing what the 49ers are doing here. And what they're doing here is that they're trying to get a rookie deal cap hit out of their quarterback with moldable clay at the quarterback position, somebody with a really high ceiling to extend their window of Super Bowl roster viability. Any path that veers away from Trey Lance trying to guide the 49ers into Super Bowl contention next year means that the 49ers are veering away from their larger plan, which is on the screen. So I always look at the larger plan, and then I try to figure out the smaller steps on the way to that longer road. And the smaller steps on the way to the longer road mean that Trey Lance is going to have the keys soon for this offense. And yes, veering away from the plan, as has happened in NFL before. But we shouldn't waste 95% of our oxygen talking about crazy offshoots that don't even make financial or trade value sense for the 49ers, or, don't even make sense because the guy that people are talking about is retired. We shouldn't go down that path because we should go down the realistic one of what the 49ers are actually thinking. A few more questions. In 2019 and 2021, Jimmy is surrounded by Pro Bowlers. Wasn't this his winning record in 2020? Weren't most of the starters on both sides out? Well, Garoppolo was also out in 2020. He played 6 games and he was 3-3. In 2017, I don't think anybody in their right mind would argue that Jimmy Garoppolo was surrounded by Pro Bowlers. That was one of the worst rosters in the NFL, and he went 5-0. I feel that some people quickly disregard 2017, which is not fair. He went 5-0 then. Then the 49ers lost a lot in 2018. Kittle had an all-time year in 2018, and the 49ers still went only 4-12. There was talent on that 2018 team, and the 49ers still only went 4-12. And then Garoppolo showed up, and they started winning. And, a huge portion of that 2019 season, they played with 2 backup offensive tackles. That certainly wasn't Pro Bowl caliber support for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's won with backup offensive. I mean, the 49ers haven't had great pass protection for Jimmy Garoppolo at some of the year's biggest moments. Their best pass pro was this year before guys started getting hurt, before McGlinchey got hurt at right tackle, and then obviously Trent Williams got hurt. So if there's one variable that indisputably has been there when the 49ers have won and not been there when they've lost, it's Garoppolo. So, I mean, yes, they have a roster around it, but again, it's a team sport, right? This is a nuanced thing. You can't just credit the quarterback or credit the team. It's not either or. You credit a mixture of both while recognizing that quarterback is the most important position. Everybody will say that. And you talk to Shanahan, you talk to Garoppolo's 49ers teammates, and they'll tell you the same thing. They say this guy is a winner, and he's a winner because he's efficient at the end of the day. So Trey Lance has big shoes to fill because it's not easy to be efficient, and it's not easy to win in the National Football League. More questions. More questions. I cannot see. I mean, come on. You guys are talking about some stupid stuff. Let's get to some good stuff. No, I don't think Garoppolo's had surgery yet on his thumb. Yeah, this is true right here. This is a good comment from Frank. The owner, Jed York, is on record saying that he was comfortable with Lance sitting behind Jimmy for 2 years, but would defer to the football people. The owner's paying the checks, so obviously he's got to sign off on this kind of stuff. But the football people, and I feel that we're football people here on this YouTube channel. We have good discussions here. We see the financial realities of this, and I've already written so much about the 49ers salary cap. I've already written so much about how they're over the cap already this year and how they have to cut some costs and how they're trying to maintain the roster. So it's not just the football people, but this is the financial people too. Now, then you run into this, murky gray area territory where like, okay, well, this quarterback's been healthy for 2 seasons. And in both of those seasons, the team has reached at least NFC title game. One of them was the Super Bowl. How do you weigh that when you're balancing it with the fact that, yeah, we do need to cut some costs and we do need to try to make this roster as sustainable as possible? Because it's, somebody could argue that it's tougher to quantify the roster strength of what that brings the locker room on a, less tangible level. And I guess it is tangible because the 49ers have won when Garoppolo has been there. It's tangible in that way, but it's a cost benefit analysis, right? Either way, you're taking a leap. You're taking a risk if you get rid of a quarterback who's been so successful when he's been healthy for the 49ers. But you're taking a calculated risk in that you believe in the person, Trey Lance. You believe in the skill set of Trey Lance. And you actually, in an ironic way, believe in the knowledge that Jimmy Garoppolo himself has imparted on Trey Lance in that 1 year that they had together. So if the 49ers make the leap, you believe that you could take that next step at a financial benefit, with a big financial benefit with Trey Lance in that second year. So that's where Jed is deferring to the people, the football people. More like the 49ers offensive line got exposed in the championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo was able to throw outside the numbers just fine against the Rams when he had a little bit of time. He was able to throw downfield just fine. I mean, if you watch the tape, then nothing about your comment is true. These are narratives that are repeated by people who just don't really get it. I mean, Garoppolo. I mean, I've already had other episodes where we break down film and there are throws outside the numbers. There's a reason the 49ers don't throw those as much, because they are trying to facilitate yards after the catch for Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and the sideline is an unnecessary defender. You don't want to add a 12th defender for no reason. The 49ers gave up, Trent Williams gave up 5 pressures against the Rams. Aaron Donald was in Garoppolo's lap before he had a chance to throw on that final drive. They couldn't run, so the Rams could tee off. If you get dominated up front, you don't win. Everybody wants to blame the quarterback, and this blame is soon going to shift to Trey Lance or whoever else the 49ers put under center, but that's a casual take. It's a fake smart take. to always blame the quarterback, always been, especially a quarterback who's been as efficient as Garoppolo behind porous offensive lines in his 49ers tenure. It's casual. There's nothing smart about it. And it's not rooted in reality. Again, when Aaron Donald is in your lap in 1.5 seconds, the offense fails. Deebo Samuel talked about it this week. And there's a reason why the Cincinnati Bengals are probably going to have trouble in the Super Bowl. It's because they can't block well enough to hold off Aaron Donald. Now, maybe they're going to play above their heads and they can get it done. 49ers managed that against the Rams a few times in a row, but they didn't manage it in the NFC Championship game. So it comes down to that. The last Super Bowl came down to that. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, did you blame that on him when they got their asses kicked by the Buccaneers, or do you blame it on the line? You blame, anybody smart is going to blame it on the line, not on Patrick Mahomes, because he was absolutely terrorized. So, I mean, the blame, just because people are jealous of how much quarterbacks make, or, want to be angry, want to throw it on one scapegoat because it makes them feel better about themselves. It's not always on the quarterback in a team sport. Just like success isn't always on the quarterback in a team sport. This works. The quarterback's the executor. He gets a lot of credit. He gets a lot of blame, but he certainly doesn't get all of it. And there's going to be extenuating circumstances like Aaron Donald in his lap in 1 second. So let's be smarter with some of these takes. I mean, again, the right move is to go get Brady. So you're telling me that the right move is to go get a player who's literally retired? Are you kidding me? He's literally retired right now. So I don't know what the right move is to go get Johnny Unitas. Let's go get Steve Young. Let's go get Peyton Manning is available too. The guy is retired. So if he comes out of retirement, if he says he wants to play, fine. Then you go get him. But as long as he's retired, it's Tom Brady. He's going to make his own decisions. And again, let's go back to the offensive line for the 49ers right now. Brady is not an idiot. The offensive line that showed up with Trent Williams, the high ankle sprain in the NFC Championship game, and Tom Compton at right tackle, and Alex Mack may be retiring after the season. Tom Brady is not going to, at age 45, want to step behind that offensive line. He liked the Tampa option in 2019 because he knew that the pass protection was going to be grade A for the Buccaneers there. Tristan Wirfs was drafted that year. He developed into a great right tackle. The 49ers don't have that type of pass protection. And the older Brady gets, the more important it is that he has that in front of him. So, it's not realistic to just say, it's not Madden. You can't just put in a cheat code to bring a guy out of retirement. And then on top of that, would Brady even want this pass protection situation for the 49ers? Again, this is a bigger picture team sport. He had good pass pro in Tampa. And the 49ers need to make sure that whoever's under center for them has better pass pro than they had in the NFC Championship game. Garoppolo in with the Raiders would be absolutely crazy. That would be wild. Because the 49ers play in Vegas next year. All right, guys, good stuff. Everybody subscribe to the channel. I have to get going. There's going to be more on-location shooting coming up. We're going to get some good food. We're going to put it on the channel. We're going to answer questions. We're going to talk 49ers all off season. Subscribe now. Hope that you all have a great Super Bowl weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon. This is the State of the 49ers quarterback edition, and we just got one more tip question. So if you guys send a tip question right now, maybe I'll answer it because I got you right here. Collie Young. Who's the bigger priority, DJ Jones or Laken? Well, I did my let's see if I can get to my page here. No, I can't. I want to get to my recent articles because I wrote both here we go. This is the 49ers free agent article. DJ Jones right there. He's a huge priority on the defensive line, but I think that Laken Tomlinson is an even bigger one. Because I'm sitting here talking about the offensive line, right? Trent Williams is obviously going to be there. They have him under a long-term deal. Laken, left guard, pending free agent. Alex Mack, is he going to retire? I don't know. Right guard, Daniel Brunskill, below average. I like Daniel Brunskill, but I like him as a roving offensive lineman. I like him as depth. Right tackle, Mike McGlinchey, coming off a quad tear. There's not 100% recovery rate to that injury. There's a lot in flux about that offensive line, which means that a player who's only missed a snap over the past 5 years when his shoe has come untied, and that's Laken Tomlinson, that guy should be a priority. Above average guard. He's durable. I think that's the biggest priority for the 49ers up front, even bigger than DJ Jones. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks, Cully, for your question. You guys are awesome. Food is coming. Lunch with Lombardi is coming, and more free agent news is coming. And obviously, a huge offseason is already upon us. Everybody subscribe. Everybody take care. Have a great weekend. Bye now.